Good morning, ma'am, sir. We are the group 5. With me, I am John Kenneth C. Sinabuen, Melin Rose Tubos, Jason Camiro, Rialian Camacho, J. Mark Bakita, and Ronald Balyosos. And we are tasked to report what is a storm surge and Pag-asa scholar-coded warning signs and also what is flood. Without further ado, let us start our report.
What is storm surge? Storm surge is also known as the layong ng bagyo. It is the abnormal rise in sea level that occurs during tropical cyclones or bagyo. It is caused by strong winds and low atmospheric pressures produced by tropical cyclone. As the tropical cyclone approaches the coast, strong winds push the ocean water over the low-lying coastal areas, which can lead to flooding. This makes storm surges very dangerous. Since Ronald Balyosos is not here, I will take his part to report his slide, which is the storm surge warning signals. In less than 1 meter, let's be informed that there's a minor damage to communities, coastal or marine infrastructure, and disruptions to all marine-related activities, and also flooding is possible in low-lying areas. In 1 to 2 meters, storm surge is possible, moderate to significant damage to communities, coastal or marine infrastructures, and disruptions to all marine-related activities. In a 2.1 to 3 meters, storm surge is expected. Severe damage to coastal communities and marine infrastructures, significant erosion to beaches, and possible river flooding. In the greater than 3 meters, storm surge is catastrophic, life-threatening and extensive inundation from rising seawater moving inland from the shoreline. And extreme damage to coastal communities and marine infrastructures. River flooding is aggravated due to storm surge.
Before anything else, let us have a brief overview. The Philippines is blessed with large numbers of rivers, lakes, and streams. Thus, the lack of water has never been a real problem. Where an apparent scarcity exists, the difficulty is traceable to the uneven distribution of rainfall necessary to replenish the water in rivers, lakes, and other bodies of water. Paradoxically, it is sometimes excessive abundance of water that spells trouble. Because of the monsoons, the Philippines was fairly well-defined wet season. In addition, there are other precipitation-producing water phenomena, tropical cyclones, thunderstorm, the ITCZ, frontal passages, etc. Single by themselves, these can generate large amount of precipitation in combination with each other or, in particular, with the monsoon. These phenomena are capable of bringing intense and excessive precipitation under certain conditions. A surfeit of rainfall results in a potential distress phenomenon called flood. It is an abnormal progressive rise in the water level of a stream that may result in overflowing by the water of the normal confines of the stream, with a subsequent inundation of areas which are not normally submerged. Also, flood are the most destructive calamities man has to cope with. Even the most minor flooding poses some inconveniences.
Flood causes and types. There are two, natural and artificial. For natural, there are three types: the meteorological events, the seismic activities, and the astronomically influenced phenomena. For the meteorological events, it is an intense and prolonged rainfall spells. And for the seismic activities, one example of these are tsunamis, seismic sea waves. The sinking of land due to earthquakes reduces the elevation of land areas, uplifting of lake and riverbeds from seismic causes or sometimes result in the overflowing of these bodies of water. Astronomically influenced phenomena. It is known as the high tides coinciding with the occurrence of heavy rainfall. And for artificial, there are five: the blasting, which causes landslides in the slopes of hills and mountains, which may result in the unintentional damming of rivers and streams. For the construction of temporary dams, it produces an impediment to the flow of a river or stream, which then results in an overflow. For the failure of hydraulic and other control structures, it is the accidents like the breaking of a dike result in the entry of an enormous quantity of water in a protected area. The mismanagement of hydraulic structures may necessitate an untimely and sudden release of large amounts of excess water. And for the denudation of forests and watershed areas, it is the ecological system in a river basin will have an impact on the hydrology of the catchment. So the main difference of natural and artificial is that natural comes from the nature itself, not man-made. It is expected to happen when there's flood. And for the artificial, it is man-made and accidentally caused because of this flood.
There are 5 common types of flooding, and this includes the flash floods, coastal floods, river floods, urban floods, and fluvial floods. For minor flooding, inundation may or may not be due to overbanking. When there is no bank overflow, flooding is simply due to the accumulation of excessive surface runoff in low-lying flat areas. Floodwaters are usually confined to the floodplain of the river along the channel, on random low-lying areas and depressions in the terrain. Floodwater is usually shallow and there may not be a perceptible flow. Urban floods considered as a minor flood. It occurs when the drainage system in a city or town fails to absorb the water from heavy rain. The lack of natural drainage in an urban area can also contribute to flooding. Water flows out into the street, making driving very dangerous. Although water levels can be just a few inches deep, urban floods can cause significant structural damage. Being the most widespread natural disaster, floods cause billions worth of damage each year. Since floods can damage any property in almost any area, it is crucial to learn how floods form, the various types of floods, and how they can affect properties.
Major flooding. Major flooding is defined by a wide range of designs and streets being flooded, individual departures in large numbers, as well as the relocation of property to higher elevations are significant. Flooding is caused by the overflowing of rivers and lakes by a series of breaks, dikes, levees, and other protective structures, by uncontrollable releases of impounded water in reservoirs, and by the accumulation of the excessive runoff. Floodwaters cover a wide contiguous area and spread rapidly to adjoining areas of relatively lower elevation. Flooding is relatively deep in most parts of the stricken areas. There is a highly perceptible current as the flood spreads to the other areas.
Let's keep in mind that a flood advisory is a warning that states the imminence of a flood situation. Thus, it is also contains suggested necessary actions that may have to be taken by the residents and the community in the threatened basin. An advisory is issued when the hydrological situation deteriorates further. It is also issued when condition is definitely improving but caution is still necessary. And also, a flood warning is issued when a flooding situation is a definitely reality at least 24 hours before actual flooding occurs. This category is maintained in succeeding bulletins as long as the affected areas are inundated and the attendant dangers are present. Aside from the forecast, a warning states the necessary precautionary measures and actions residents as well as the affected community must take. And lastly, flood bulletins are specifically directed to the public. They are intended to apprise the people in the threatened area of the present situation and of the expected development. It suggests the appropriate actions the community may have to take to prevent or mitigate the disastrous effects of a flood.
That's all from our report. I hope you learned something. Thank you.